The core muscles of the torso are called into play on every climbing move, and they are especially important for efficient movement up overhanging rock. The focus of this episode then will be 5 exercises for developing a stronger core. Stronger core muscles will enable you to step higher, hang on to slopers better, and create core tension and torque for hard, powerful movements. But it's on overhanging routes that a strong core is essential, as it will enable you to twist, lock, and stiffen up on long reaches, stick a dead point lunge, and maintain proper posture to stand on tiny footholds and pull down on small handholds. For the average Joe, the quest for a six-pack abs is what comes to mind when you talk about core training. Of course, most climbers realize there's more to the core than meets the eye. Think of the core as pretty much all the muscles between your shoulders and hips, both front and back. You need to train all of the core if you're to climb your best. The first exercise is going to focus on the anterior core. First up is the ab rollout, which we're going to do here on the TRX Sling Trainer, although you can also use a set of rings. This is a great exercise and it's easily scalable. Assume a kneeling position and with straight arms grasp the handles with a palms down grip. Now stiffen up from the knees to shoulders and push your hands forward until your arms and torso are in a straight line. Hold this position for 2 seconds and then return to the starting position. This is a strenuous exercise, so you may initially need to do a smaller range of motion. Your training goal is to do 3 sets of 6 to 12 repetitions. Take about a 3-minute rest in between sets. This next exercise is a favorite here in the Horst gym. Not only does it strengthen the anterior core and obliques, but it also engages and strengthens the rotator cuff and scapular stabilizers. Begin hanging from a pull-up bar and then lift your legs upward until your back is more or less parallel to the ground and your shins near the level of the bar. Now lower your legs to one side and return immediately to the top position, and then lower your legs to the other side. Continue back and forth like windshield wipers for 6 to 12 repetitions. Do 2 or 3 sets with about a 3-minute rest in between. The windshield wiper is a pretty difficult exercise. The good news is you'll improve rapidly over your first few training sessions. A final tip, think about bending the bar. That will fully engage your rotator cuff and strengthen your scapular stabilizers. This next exercise is called the Superman, and it targets the commonly weak and often neglected muscles of the lower back. Here's how to do it. Lie face down on the floor with your arms extended overhead and your legs straight with pointed toes. Begin by simultaneously raising one arm and the opposite leg as high as is comfortably possible. Hold the top position for a moment and then return to the starting position. Repeat by raising the opposite arm and leg off the floor simultaneously. Again, pause for a moment in the top position before returning to the floor. Continue this alternating exercise motion for a total of 20 repetitions or until you can no longer perform a slow, controlled movement. Rest for 3 minutes and then perform a second set. Next up is the front lever, which is a difficult gymnastics move performed on the rings. Fortunately, you can make this exercise much easier by performing it on a pull-up bar and with a bent leg, which is how you should learn the exercise, and it's how Cam will demonstrate it here.
Begin by hanging straight-armed from a bar or set of rings. Pull up halfway, then push your hands forward, drop your head backward, and lift your legs. Do all of this in a single quick motion while attempting to position your entire body, head to toe, parallel to the ground. Squeeze tightly through your shoulders, torso, buttocks, legs to hold this position for 2 or 3 seconds. Return to the starting position, take a deep breath or 2, and then pull back up into the front lever and hold again for 2 or 3 seconds. Continue for a total of 3 to 5 repetitions. This is a difficult total core exercise, but you'll improve quickly over the first few weeks of training. I recommend doing 3 sets of 3 to 5 reps twice per week.
The fifth and final exercise is the dumbbell snatch, although you could also use a kettlebell to do this exercise. The dumbbell snatch is unique in that it targets all the muscles of the posterior chain, from your lower back to your hips to your legs, and it works all the muscles of your core. Best of all, it turns on these muscles in an instant, much like when you do a lunge move or a dead point move in climbing, and all of your core muscles and posterior chain have to turn on quickly. So it's a good simulation of that effect. Here's how to do it. Stand with your feet a bit more than shoulder width apart, toes pointed at about 20 degrees outward. With the dumbbell positioned between your feet, bend equally at your knees and hips to grab onto the dumbbell. At the starting position, your lower back should be flat and the working arm hanging straight down from your shoulder. Extend the free arm out and back as needed for balance. Execute the snatch in one coordinated, continuous, and explosive motion. It begins with knee extension, then hip, knee, and ankle extension simultaneously. The working arm should remain straight initially until you jump off the floor. As your shoulders shrug at the end of the jump, allow the dumbbell to launch upward and then drop your body underneath in order to lock out the dumbbell overhead. Stand up in the finished position with your shoulders, hips, and feet all in a line. Contract your core completely to stick the finished position and hold for 1 second. Lower the dumbbell and push your hips backward to return to the starting position. Continue for a total of 5 to 10 repetitions and then rest for 3 minutes before doing a second set. This is a technical lift, so begin with a moderate weight, around 10 kilograms or 20 pounds, and then build up from there. Well, that does it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. To learn more about training or to contact me directly, visit my website, trainingforclimbing.com.